Okay, awesome. If you'd just like to briefly introduce yourself and tell us what brings you here today.
Hi, I'm Vlad. I'm the creator of the Bitcoin Takeover podcast. I also made the BTC TKVR free open source magazine that you can download for free and print yourself. And I came here to the film fest in Warsaw because I have a song that's called Buy Bitcoin with an exclamation point at the end. And I wrote that with my girlfriend. And I did the premiere basically at this festival.
Okay, awesome. Just maintain eye contact with me when we're talking. Don't look at the camera. And I'm curious, how long have you been into Bitcoin? I mean, you made a song about it. You must have been into Bitcoin for some time now.
Well, if I make songs about it, it means I'm not OG enough to just lay on a tropical island and do nothing. So I've been officially for about 7 years now, maybe. But I heard about it 10 years ago, and no, more than 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and I thought it was the dumbest idea ever. But it took me about 4 years to actually understand it.
Okay, and do you think that happens with a lot of people, just sort of missing the point early on and not getting in?
Of course, that's why I made the magazine that's called Breaking FUD. It's available in English and German, and you can download that for free. I presented the top 10 biggest reasons why people don't get into Bitcoin, because I saw this as a potential resource that I can create to prevent others from making the same mistake as me. The fact that people don't like to read, that's another problem.
Breaking FUD. FUD is?
Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And these are the terms very commonly used in mainstream media to describe something that you should stay away from.
Yeah, that's right. And it's funny, in Bitcoin and in crypto more generally, there's so much of the language is quite unique. For example, when I was booking tickets, there was something called a pleb and an e-pleb and a super pleb. And it got me thinking, is this a term of endearment, or is it derogatory? Is it a bit of a joke, or how do you view plebeians?
I think there's a long history of derogatory terms that were embraced by people in an ironic way, and then they became sort of official language. It's strange. There is maximalist, which was coined by Vitalik Buterin in a 2014 article, and it was supposed to denigrate, to make these people who believe that only one blockchain should exist, to deny their authority, and then people embraced it, and they used it as a positive term. And then there was pleb, and then there was ATIQ, and a lot of these insults that were thrown at Bitcoiners. They embraced them, and they said, oh, I'm this, okay, I'll take it.
Okay, so they role reverse the term. I get it. And but maximalism, it continues to this day, or is it more? Is that like an older value or ethos in the Bitcoin community? Do you think?
There are many definitions for it. What is maximalism? Is it protocol maximalism? Is it monetary maximalism? Is it about the money, or is it about the networks through which you transmit the money? Because you also have WBTC on Ethereum, which uses Bitcoin that's locked in a contract. Does that mean you use Bitcoin? That makes you a maximalist if you only use Bitcoin. There's also the freedom maximalist, there's the BTC only maximalist, there's the Bitcoin Core only maximalist. It's very convoluted. There is no universal term which describes this, but it's very much active. And I think the type of maximalist, which I am, is the one in which I believe that Bitcoin should scale to allow everyone around the world to use it.
As Satoshi originally intended?
I would say that. I don't think he really said that he wants to onboard 8 million people into the network. He did want to create a currency for the internet to enable fast, irreversible payments. It seemed like there was more demand for people to save in this Bitcoin because the price discovery went in a certain direction. And some people, when they spent it maybe 10 years ago, maybe they regret it now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like Bitcoin Pizza Day is a thing, right? Where someone spent a lot of money on one slice of pizza or something.
No, that was Laszlo Haniec. In 2010, he spent 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. And it was the first time when Bitcoin was exchanged for a real item in the real world. It gave legitimacy to the currency.
I see. Okay, and I think it's 15 years Bitcoin has existed. How has Satoshi Nakamoto's perceived role in the Bitcoin community or ecosystem or whatever you want to call it evolved in that time in terms of how Bitcoiners talk about him or references or them? I don't know. We still don't know who it is, right? Or do we know?
It depends on who you are. There are people who claim, oh, it's definitely this guy. But at the same time, there's a lot of plausible deniability. The most usual suspects are Americans, cypherpunks, but Satoshi used British English, used OU for color and some of these words that were written in this way. It's hard to tell, but at the same time, I don't think it matters. Satoshi gets brought into discussion a lot of times when people try to argue in favor of something and they say, look, Satoshi said this, Satoshi said that. There are statements that sometimes contradict themselves, because at one point there was Jeff Garzik, one of the earliest Bitcoin developers. He came up with this proposal in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, to increase the block size to 7 megabytes, I think. And Satoshi said, no, it's too early for this, don't do it. People interpret it two ways. They say, oh, Satoshi never wanted this because it's not consensus code. And there are others who say Satoshi planned for this at a later point. So you're not ever going to find truth in the gospel. It's just like the Bill of Rights in the US. Every generation comes along and reinterprets the same statements and tries to make sense out of them to make themselves feel fine about their lives. So it's like this.
Okay, final question, because I know you're hungry man. Recently, we saw the Bitcoin ETF in the USA, and I read an article that suggested that Wall Street now owns more Bitcoin than Satoshi. Do you think that's going to have any meaningful effect on either the Bitcoin community or the network itself going forward?
Well, there is a mature enough market right now for people to buy whatever gets sold. If Satoshi comes back and decides to sell all of his coins, I think there's enough liquidity for him to do that, on one hand. On the other hand, I believe there are enough people who believe in the currency enough to buy the currency at a discount after it gets sold en masse. We're not sure about the number of coins that Satoshi has. That's also speculation. It's based on research by a developer whose name is Sergio Damian Lerner. I interviewed him on my podcast, and he used some heuristics to determine that probably it was Satoshi who mined these blocks. There is no absolute certainty, and there are also some people who claim that they're the ones that mined them. It's difficult to tell, but with the ETF situation, the fact that they own a lot of Bitcoin, it means that they're gonna sell it at one point. They're not in this for any sort of mission of liberating the world, enabling sovereignty, or anything like this. They just saw opportunity to make more US dollars. So in a sense, it's nice that there's more liquidity on the market. In another sense, it's terrible that the cypherpunk ethos gets diluted by all of these speculators who say, you should not buy real Bitcoin, you should just buy our paper Bitcoin. So I'm not a fan of that. I'm aware that you can create inflation with ETFs. You can basically sell derivatives and all sorts of assets that are not backed by actual Bitcoin. And it's just the legal system that's going to determine who ends up paying. It is what it is. You can only control as much as you can, and what I recommend to people is to always buy real Bitcoin, which they can verify themselves with a valid node.
Okay, great. And one more bonus question, if that's okay. In my research on this production, I've been looking at, obviously, not just Bitcoin community, but other communities as well. And maximalism exists in those communities, I think, as well. And there's a term called Degen that gets thrown around. Mm-hmm. There's a behavior associated with degens. Does it exist in Bitcoin, or is it just universal to these DeFi protocols and what have you?
I think degen is just like maximalist and just like pleb. It was used to insult some people who are using the protocol in a certain way. And then people embraced it and said, okay, we're degens now, we're doing this. It's mostly about non-monetary use of a monetary network. It's about putting anything with data in a blockchain. And these people create markets for these collectibles that they insert into the blockchain, and sometimes they call themselves degens. I want to say that Bitcoin has had these assets since 2014, if not earlier. We had colored coins, we had Counterparty, we had the Omni layer, which used to be called Mastercoin. All of these precede Ethereum, and they do pretty much the same stuff. It's just that Ethereum was launched as a chain that was dedicated for these use cases and said, we're going to do this and take it away from Bitcoin. Originally, Vitalik wanted to build Ethereum on Bitcoin, but for that to happen, they needed certain conditions to be fulfilled for the main chain. There was not enough agreement that this is a good idea. And I like to regard all of these non-Bitcoin currencies as, they're not really original because they still use the base technology of Bitcoin. They modify it to a great extent. They experiment with different features. But I like to call them the experimental layer for Bitcoin because all of the good ideas, all of the ideas were first proposed for Bitcoin. You go back as far as 12 years ago on Bitcoin Talk, and you hear ideas for stuff that today has turned into Filecoin or all of these Solana stuff. And people were criticizing the trade-offs. It's just that now we have a market for this, and people figured out how to market it. But I believe that the best of ideas are going to come back to Bitcoin for a reason which concerns it being the most secure network. People want to converge towards something that is truly decentralized and irreversible. When you send a transaction or you make a contract or you insert data into the blockchain, you're paying a fee and you hope that it's going to be permanent. And that's something that people find very valuable. I think for the first time in the history of mankind, you can't have the government to come and erase the records, which is beautiful. And everyone can run a node in their basement. That's invaluable. It's a great value proposition for Bitcoin. I believe in the long term, we're going to get sidechains or other layers that are going to include all of these use cases and use BTC, the currency, for this. But until then, there's a free market for experimentation. I'm not the kind of person who's going to call you a shitcoiner or something because you're trying something else. I believe in free markets, I believe in competition, and I think that all of these experiments are also pushing Bitcoin to evolve, to constantly get better, and they're giving developers ideas. Maybe something great is happening on another chain and there's great market demand for it, and it's possible to implement this into Bitcoin. I think a lot of creative proposals come out of this, but at the same time there are also obvious scams and Ponzi schemes that get wrapped up under different marketing terms and different, I guess, you know much better than me how these go. And it's terrible that this happens, but once again, I guess this is part of the education that not just the developers are getting, but the market as a whole. It's still something novel for most people. And there's only one way to learn, for better and worse. I can write books and magazines about how you should not make my own mistakes, but I guess people only learn after they make their own. So unfortunately, our civilization is doomed to repeat the same mistakes every generation until we learn. But there is some progress, and it's visible, and that's why I'm here. I'm still hopeful that we're gonna have real progress towards a currency that is neutral, not controlled by any nation state, irreversible, and puts you in control of your own keys. That's what I like about Bitcoin.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vlad. I thank you for taking the time and sharing your insights.
Where am I gonna see this?
I will keep you posted on the email or the Telegram, but it's looking more like early 2025. It would be a docuseries, part of a docuseries. But I would like to stay in touch, and I can give you a heads up, obviously, because we recorded your session in there, but it would be great to get the original audio, like you said.
Oh, that's nice.
I'll just
let me send you on the song, right?
Yeah, and I need a release as well that just to say that it's okay to use the footage in the film.
I need to sign something.
Which app is this?
You're this. Telegram.
There you go. Perfect.
Nice. Sent you the song.
Yeah. And just say on the camera that we can use the footage in the documentary confirmation release.
Yeah.
If that's okay. We can get it on the record.
You can use the footage for the documentary. Trust me. I'm not AI. I'm a human. Hi. I play guitar, look. I don't think an AI can do that yet.
Oh, I thought you were going to give us a little round then.
You want to hear it?
I'll move this camera and you go.
It's too echoey.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear a little, just 30 seconds or something we can use to mix in. Sorry for taking up so much of your time.
Oh, it's fun. I'm gonna go to lunch after this. It's just that some friends went there and they were pressuring me. Come on, let's go. But I enjoy doing this also. Yeah. I don't know for which purpose you're doing it, but I enjoy this nonetheless.
Don't worry, you're going to be positively entertained, potentially enlightened.
Who else was part of it?
Sorry?
Who else was part of it?
At this event?
No, generally. Who else did you interview?
I've interviewed a lot of Degens online, but I haven't interviewed anybody on location. This is the first event for this production, but mainly filmmakers.
So how did you get to me, of all people?
Sorry?
There are much more famous people here. How did you get to me? Or why did you pick me?
Well, I saw the picture of you with this mining rig, and I thought, I need to talk to this guy, because that's, if you've got any footage of you with that.
I just have pictures.
No video?
No video.
Okay. Let you play us out, and then we'll wrap it up, right?
Anyway, I had someone deliver this to me. I had to ask for it.
Where did you... The guitar?
Yeah, I had to return it. I have to return it after this.
You didn't have to buy a new one then, okay?
These are nylon strings and they're not very comfortable. But I'm not complaining. I was able to get a guitar for the event.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. And we filmed inside there as well.
Can you sing along with me?
I can't actually sing, but you guys can sing.
Yeah, come on. For a better life, buy Bitcoin. 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 Thank you.
That was great. That was really nice.
That's why I brought my guitar. I was hoping
Thanks for inviting me.
It's a nice earworm, you know. It's gonna be stuck in your head.
Yeah, it really is. And it will certainly make it into the doco, mate. So thanks again.
Likewise.
We'll see you around and stay in touch.